All right, we're on chapter 48. It isn't easy cutting down a big tree. It takes careful planning and people who know what they're doing. I had seen neighborhood trees cut down. I knew how things went. While Sandy and Max moved people to a safe distance, Stefan's parents watched from their porch and Samar from theirs. Meanwhile, the tree people put ropes around my trunk and consulted with one another. A man and a woman carried over a huge chainsaw followed by a stump grinder. The grinder looked a little like a hungry animal. Actually, it looked a lot like a hungry animal. All those critters gone, Dave called to... All those critters gone, Dave called to Francesca. Haven't seen any, she answered. Dave climbed a ladder and peered into my hollows as well as he could. He didn't seem to notice Bongo, who was hiding deep in the owl's former home. I sat patiently waiting my fate, while around me the world buzzed. A huge crowd, filled with old neighbors and new friends, had gathered, it seemed to see me off. Near the curb, some kids were making music. I don't know if it's good music, but it was most definitely loud music. I realized it was the garage band Bongo liked. The whole thing was almost like a party, a going away party. There it was surrounding me, my wild and tangled and colorful garden. It wasn't such a bad way to leave the world, I decided. Not bad at all. Chapter 49. Dave had a megaphone, and through it he reminded the crowd to stay behind the barriers that had been erected, meaning put up. This is a big tree, folks, he said, and when it goes, we don't want anyone else going with it. Bongo, I said in a voice that only she could hear. You need to get to a safe place. You heard him. I'm a big tree. I don't want to be in the way. You don't want to be in the way when I fall. I'm not going anywhere, she replied in a stubborn whisper. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine. But I'm staying with you, Red, and that's final. Dave turned to his workers. Okay, let's get the show on the road. Please, Bongo, I said softly and urgently. The saw moved closer. I waited, expecting to hear the painful roar of the chainsaw engine. Instead, a small but intense sound filled the air, something like a puppy growl mixed with a kitten hiss. It was... Any ideas? It was a baby possum, darting through the huge crowd, across the muddy lawn, past Dave and his crew, around the massive saw, beneath the stump grinder, and finally, triumphantly, up my trunk, was none other than Flashlight. He climbed straight to his former hollow and settled there, his tiny head poking out. He was panting and trembling and hiccuping, but he did not seem to be in any danger whatsoever of fainting. Oh, Flashlight. I missed you, Red, he said in a voice so small that only Bongo and I could hear it. Hold off on the saw, Dave yelled. Some animal just ran up the tree. Bongo popped out of her hollow. Flash, she hissed. You can't be here. It's dangerous. They're about to, You're here, Flash pointed out. Across the grass streaked Harry Spiders, with her other babies trailing. She went straight to the possum hollow, where she proceeded to scold Flash as she snuggled him close. In the sky, little Harold suddenly appeared, frantically flapping his wings like a fuzzy butterfly. Agnes and the rest of her brood followed. They settled into their old home as if they'd never left. Bongo moved to home plate to make room for the owls. The ewes came next, trotting across the lawn. Last to join the group was the skunk family, who quickly scrambled up my trunk. 7 possums, 4 raccoons, 5 owls, and 6 skunks had waddled, scooted, dashed, and fluttered from their various homes just to see me off. My residents, my friends. The crowd was delighted. People applauded. They cheered. They laughed. Francesca, straining to get a look, accidentally let go of the kitten's leashes, allowing Lewis and Clark to escape. They ran straight to me, clambering up my trunk to join the gang. It wasn't all perfection. The babies and the parents were grumbling, but softly enough that none of the humans could hear. Ouch, muttered Hot Butter Popcorn. Your tail is in my mouth, cried one of the ewes. You smell like skunk, someone complained. I am a skunk, came the reply. Mom, asked Harold, should I be afraid of the cat? As a rule, yes, said Agnes, but this is a special circumstance. It took some effort, but eventually the entire group settled in together above the highest wishes. They gazed down calmly at the fascinated crowd below. One of the tree cutters took off his helmet and scratched his head. This just don't happen, he said to Dave. Those animals ought to be eating each other. It's some kind of crazy critter miracle, and another worker said. He pulled out his smartphone. This is going on Facebook. Lots of other people seemed to have the same idea. Cameras clicked away, ignoring the barricades. The reporters dashed over, microphones extended, as if they were hoping to interview the animals. Bongo, always a bit of a ham, was happy to comply. Chip, please, she said into the microphone, waving beneath her. Look at this. Isn't that just an awesome sight to see? Everyone banding together to help Red out. I love that. Dave gestured helplessly at Francesca. What is up with the mirage, lady? How are we supposed to cut this tree down? Francesca, wiping away tears, stood. She put her arms around Stefan and Samar. Slowly, they made their way across the muddy grass. When she reached me, she pulled a bookmark from Maeve's journal before handing the book to Stefan. It was a strip of cloth made of blue striped fabric. You remember that one? From Red's story? Maeve's wish. Carefully, Francesca tied it to my lowest branch, already crowded with wishes. She stared long and hard at the animals. Lewis and Clark purred happily. The crowd quiet. The only sound was the rustling of my leaves. Finally, Francesca spoke. Look, I don't do speeches. That's not my thing. She patted my trunk. But here's the thing. Until today, I almost forgotten how important this old tree is to my family story. And from the look of it, she pointed to my residence, it's important to a few other families as well. Many people smiled and a few laughed. I hate this word, Francesca continued, running her hand over my carved bark. Hate it. My great-great-grandmother Maeve would have hated it just as much. Here, in this neighborhood, we're better than this. She looked over at Samar's parents. We don't threaten people here. We welcome them. Francesca reached for Samar's hand. This tree is staying put, and I hope your family will too. Here is, we have 2 more chapters left. So I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to make you wait until tomorrow for the last 2 chapters. Have a good day, everyone.